It is time for the Monday Night Raw reactions for the week of February the 8th, 2016. I am your host, Attack Slug. Let's talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw. First and foremost, obviously, all throughout the night, they've been airing these Daniel Bryan video packages because he's, they gave him the main event slot to officially confirm his retirement, but obviously, that is not what you start the show with. You start the show with the contract signing. Obviously, you would have thought the original plan would be to end the show on the contract signing. Obviously, a lot of last-minute rewrites here. So, we open with Steph already in the ring. And the one thing I wanted to call out here is that when she's talking about who's going to face Triple H at WrestleMania, of those three competitors who are in Fastlane, and she mentions Ambrose, and the crowd cheers. She mentions Roman, and it cuts to a little Fastlane graphic. Now, was that masking any potential booing in the arena? That's what I'd like to know. And then mentions Lesnar, and then, say, hey, here's your Fastlane thing. But the timing of it seemed very convenient. Anyway, they do that, and then out comes Ambrose, who wants to piece Lesnar after last week. And then out comes Roman, because Roman. And then out comes Lesnar, because Lesnar. And they get into it here. They sign their contract. Ambrose gets in Lesnar's face. There's some brawling. He throws Ambrose into Reigns, and then hits Reigns with a table, and that was pretty funny. And then Lesnar F5s, Ambrose leaves, and then Triple H is there. So all the pieces here are moving as they should be moving. Is pretty much standard for any kind of a contract signing, etc., etc. So moving on, our first match of the evening, I feel like it's Groundhog Day. We're having Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler again. Now, as I've said the past 2 weeks, I like both Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, and they can put together a hell of a match. However, the 50-50 WWE booking is just infuriating, and I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here other than having good matches. As an aside, I appreciate the fans in the front there who had the dog Ziggler signs, because that's, that was a funny joke when they had Rusev doing that. And I appreciate Kevin Owens, like one of the only guys who consistently trash talks in the ring, and that's a nice throwback to what guys used to do, more or less. But Dolph Ziggler wins here because he had the tights, or no, he had his feet on the second rope, and holy shit, that referee was he's looking laser focused on Owens' shoulders, but it's like they think referees are like Metal Gear Solid guys, like they can only look at one particular point. Like, human beings have peripheral vision, up, down, left, right. He would have seen Dolph Ziggler put his feet on the ropes there. That, the positioning of the ref there was bad, and that spot was bad. I don't mind that Dolph Ziggler had to cheat to beat Kevin Owens. That's fine. But the way they went about it with how they had the ref position there, and then replaying it where you could see the ref could have clearly seen that Dolph cheated, was kind of yeah, I can only suspend so much disbelief in wrestling. So, we get an Usos and Dudley's backstage thing, because apparently the Usos are going to fight the New Day in a tables match, and the Dudleys take offense to that and say, no, put us in and make it 8-man. So, that's what they're going to do. And then we get a video package for Ryback. So, apparently we're attempting to push him again for something. So I guess the question is, who is he going to fight? What's this push for? Because who are they having him fight at WrestleMania? Is it going to be Goldberg? We'll get into that a little bit later. Next match was Charlotte, with Ric Flair, as always, fighting Alicia Fox, the other half of what remains of Team Bella at this point. And you could tell the crowd kind of didn't give a shit about this match because they were chanting for the Seahawks. So, whatever. Charlotte wins, continues that story, because obviously she's fighting Brie at the pay-per-view, but you're not going to have Brie out because obviously Brie's married to Daniel Bryan, and that's a whole big thing at this point. They're not trying to distract the crowd. You got to have a crowd pay attention for 3 hours before you get to Daniel Bryan, and that's going to be tough, considering the gravity of his announcement. So, that moves us into The Miz TV, and at this point, I'm really curious, Are they going to end up with AJ Styles and Miz and Chris Jericho as like a triple threat match at some point? Is that what's going to happen here? Because I'm not really sure who AJ is actually feuding with. It seems like everybody. Everybody's fighting everybody. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not a fan that they're continuing to push this whole redneck rookie nickname, considering that AJ Styles is 38 and he's been doing it for like, what, 16, 17 years, something like that? I don't even know. A long time. And I like their little dig, oh, well, he was a big fish in a small pond. TNA. I dig that bit. But the best part of this whole thing was Miz, running down stuff and what happened to Miz. Out comes Jericho. Jericho literally changes it from Miz TV to the highlight reel. They changed the carpet. They lowered the Jeritron. Like, that was a fantastic moment. I really enjoyed that. Whoever thought of that? That was genius. Still not a big fan of greatest hits Chris Jericho, just kind of rolling out all the old catchphrases and everything else. That's kind of like, yeah, whatever. But if they're going to make it a three-way, at least that keeps it, somewhat interesting, because The Miz is certainly good at being the guy you want to see get punched in the face. There. That ref's not blind. Anyway, next match of the evening was Bray Wyatt versus Ryback. And they were, I guess, trying to position Ryback as being a big, impressive dude, even though he's kind of short. He's not like you can see where they're going with this whole thing. Was eventually leads to Bray and Brock. You want to have Bray beating monsters, and that made sense for Kane. That made sense for Big Show. That will eventually make sense for Mark Henry. But Ryback not really in that caliber of big, even though he's called the big guy. So perhaps that's your out there, because he's the big guy. But he's not of that size, that massive. Anyway, Bray Wyatt versus Ryback, and early on in the match was getting the Goldberg chance. So if they are going to set up for Ryback versus Goldberg, I guess they're doing their legwork. I don't know. Certainly, Bray Wyatt wins. I feel like at some point they had a Bray Wyatt feud with Ryback and it was terrible. So don't want to really revisit that. But yeah, there's a post-match beatdown, as there has been with the Wyatts, etc., etc. And then kind of whatever. So that leads us into the New Day backstage polishing a table, and Renee's like, "Who's your tag team partner?" And we're like, "We don't have one yet. We'll figure it out." And then there was some stuff. They kept showing Ambrose backstage being all angry. And that's sure fine. Continuing that narrative. Anyway, that leads us into this match, which is Titus O'Neil versus Adam Rose. And as I've been saying the past couple of weeks, Titus O'Neil, great tag team guy, because he's a great hot tag. Titus O'Neil as a singles guy, not really what I want to see. Like, I like the guy, and I think he has a tremendous upside, but as a singles competitor, not really getting it done for me. Anyway, again, there was a Seahawks chant here, because obviously the crowd, superplex, not really giving two shits, as I don't. But you had the rest of this social outcasts at ringside doing their shtick and whatever else. Actually, because of that, this ended with a roll-up victory for Adam Rose. So, kudos to Adam Rose winning a match on Raw in 2016. Good job. And here's Titus doing a pump handle thing getting reversed. Anyway, next segment was Ambrose coming to the ring and calling out the Beast, Brock Lesnar, making some references to, getting soft, and Paul Heyman holding his balls, and, dick jokes, because Vince loves dick jokes. And then obviously out comes Lesnar, because you don't really want to provoke the Beast. That's not a good idea. And Lesnar comes out and they, fight. Ambrose attacks Lesnar, which is not really going to do much for him. And then he gets a F5 for his troubles. Then he kind of lays there and goes, "No, give me another one of those." And then out comes Roman Reigns to distract, and obviously Brock Lesnar super confused because Roman Reigns is walking down the entrance ramp. Not in the crowd, down the entrance ramp. And Brock's like, "Wait, the fuck?" And then, as The Undertaker taught us, if there's one weakness to Brock Lesnar, it's the weakness of every man. Hit him in the dick. And so there was a Ric Flair-style low blow to Lesnar, who goes down, and then they kind of walk up the ramp and leave, and there's that. But Undertaker will just kick you in the dick because he's a fucking Undertaker. Anyway, next match on the card was the Lucha Dragons versus League of Nations members Del Rio and Rusev, continuing to build toward Del Rio and Kalisto at Fastlane. Like, I don't know, like, it's fine. Like, obviously, you kind of feel bad for Sin Cara because, you know, he's kind of man in the middle here because, you know, they were, well, Sin Cara's hurt, so let's actually give a push to Kalisto, who's your U.S. champion. But obviously, the whole story of this match was that you're going to have Kalisto get pinned in a tag match, proving that Del Rio can pin him. We already knew that. So, anyway, Del Rio and Rusev win. They continue to waste Rusev, who is quite talented. Anyway, then we get a weird outside thing with Goldust and R-Truth at the Jimi Hendrix Museum, the rock and roll something or other. They're in Seattle, I don't fucking know. And that was, you know, their usual. I mean, it wasn't as good as last week, but you can't have Goldust accidentally putting his foot in a toilet every week, so, you know, it's kind of hard to top that. So, they could continue to tease their, whatever the hell their tag team thing is. Now, then, Sasha Banks on commentary for Becky Lynch versus Tamina. If you're going to have Becky fight anybody, couldn't it be Naomi? Like, but I will say, certainly, probably the most halfway decent match I've seen from Tamina, like, ever. So I'm not going to be too hard on her. But more shockingly, Tamina has theme music. Holy shit. But again, I don't watch Main Event or Superstars or SmackDown. So I'm sure it's been on there before. I just haven't heard it. I was shocked. Anyway, Tamina wins because of distractions, because of some stuff with Naomi and Sasha, because of course there is, because they're setting up for a tag team match at Fastlane. So they're going to have two Divas matches at Fastlane. Good for them. They're alright. And your main event wrestling deal of the night. Hold on. So first, the New Day's backstage looking at their tag team partner, handing him a unicorn, and guess what? It's Mark Henry, who proceeds to want to play Francesca the trombone. Adam Rose cheating here. Referee, you're blind. Holy shit. Wants to play the trombone, which obviously Xavier was very, very upset. And here we go. He's doing his signature. And then he's kind of doing a dance-off, twerk-off with Big E, and the New Day continue to be amusing and extraordinarily talented, and this was a fun little segment. So now you have your four. So it's the New Day and Mark Henry versus the Dudleys and the Usos in an 8-man tables match. And halfway into the match, Mark Henry decides that he doesn't like being told what to do and bails on the New Day. Okay. And then they win the match. They put someone through a table. I fucking forget who. Big E? I don't know. No, they put Kofi through a table with a 3D, I think, was how that happened. Anyway, more importantly, the Dudleys decide that they want to be heels again and decide to attack the Usos and put both the Usos through tables. Etc., etc. So that's kind of how that turned out. So it's weird to try to position the Dudleys as heels when the crowd's gonna cheer for table spots. Like that always seemed like a weird thing to me. But the fuck do I know? Adam Rose, what are you, like, really getting a fucking disqualification? Adam Rose. All right, so there you go. And then obviously the main event was the Daniel Bryan retirement speech. I'm not going to sit here and recap that whole thing because it was like a half an hour long. So suffice to say, if you want to see it, go look it up on YouTube. It is just, you know, a very endearing speech and a very good send-off for one of the best wrestlers in the world. I don't know what he does from here. I think he didn't want to do any kind of a backstage thing, or like, he wants to wrestle, and obviously he can't wrestle. So that whole thing was very sad. But hey, he got a pretty good send off, which is more than most guys get. So You have to do it on his own terms, more or less. Anyway, that is my Raw reaction for the week of the 8th of February. And stay tuned for more videos. I'm Attack Slug, and I'll see you next time. And I'm out.